Good morning, everyone. Howdy. There, it's working. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all good, wherever you are. Kevin's all the way from Florida. Morning, mate. Somebody's up early. That's good to see. Luke, morning. And we've got Lee all the way from Tassie. Morning, Lee. How are you, mate? Good to see you. And Tim, yes. That's what we're going to have a bit of a chat about today, the old 0.25. Yeah, I reckon they're getting there. We were talking with Bill Evans, the Westpac, head of Westpac, I think economist or something like that. He sort of predicted the 4.1 cash rate where we are right now, folks. There you go. My thoughts were we were going to get around this 3.85, 4.1 as well. Hopefully, we're at the top. But let's face it, even if it's another point something or other, it's not going to be another 5 or 6 interest rate rises at this point in time. And even some of the lenders, the banks are dropping their fixed interest rates, which is interesting. But we're going to talk about that today. What does it mean to us? What does it mean to us, folks? What does it mean to us if the interest rates go up? Morning, Stu. How are you, mate? Morning. Whoever's out there, morning. Jules. Jules, you're up. Yeah, he's a good one. Bill Evans, he's been around the block a few times and he's not silly. We quite like Bill, Luke, so there you go. Yeah, more payments. Well, all right. Well, let's do this. What are we going to do this morning? Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Most of you know this. Jason Witten's my name. If you didn't already know, or if you're dropping by and you're saying hello, then hello to you. Great to have you here. And 2 seconds. I've got my cat visiting my office. Anyway, I better let her in. Anyway, there you go. Children and animals. Anyway, we'll get on with the show. Got myself a visitor, but working with you guys. Hopefully you're all sorted for today with a coffee and maybe some cheer. What does it mean to us as property investors right now? Well, there's a few things going on. I did watch the Apple keynote yesterday, Chris. I did. I got excited. I certainly got excited. But let's get into today's catch-up conversation, chat, whatever we want to call it. Wealth Coffee Chat, matter of fact, is what we call it. The interest rate, the cash rate has gone up. And so soon to follow, we would all think that the interest rates may increase at the same time. What does that mean for us as property investors? Yeah, Tim, I completely agree with you. The challenge is that there's no supply. And you guys know we've talked about this for a while. It's been happening forever and a day. More shortages in this space, right? And what happens too, though, is we're going to have this big thing called the mean reversion, folks, right? So what's going on right now? Let's have a look at this. All right, so what will happen? Those who have got mortgages will cut some costs, right? Cut some costs. Most of them will hunker down, right? Most of them will stay where they are because it's, pretty difficult to go somewhere else. Difficult to find somewhere to rent. Difficult to find if you're going to sell something and buy somewhere else. There's no supply. Cut costs and stay where they are, right? Stay where they are, right? Which means that there's not going to be this big flood. You hear a few of these conversations out there. What was the big one? The mortgage cliff. All of these properties are going to be, mortgagee in possession. Everyone's going to be, selling their properties. That is not the case. Let's have a look at this one here. The share of people in negative equity territory is very low, folks. It's actually less than the GFC, folks. When the GFC came along, people had some challenges, some issues. The lending world had a big problem. But right now, the number of people who've got problems when it comes to negative equity in their lending or their loans, and also not having some challenges with their cash flow is very small. What does that do? For the most part, like I said before, most people are going to cut some costs and stay where they are, right? That's what's going to happen. What does that mean? This is the part why the RBA is trying to increase the interest rates to stop people spending money on stuff that they reckon is not valuable, Netflix and the like. And, hopefully that brings inflation down. What's the knock-on effect of this sort of stuff, right? So tell me in the chat, what's going to happen, folks? What's going to happen with the marketplace? Let's say the regular, uneducated, unknowledgeable. That's not the right English, is it? The unknowledgeable, the uneducated. What will they do when it comes to purchasing a property? Now, does the number of people coming through the system reduce who want to buy a property? Tell me in the chat. Let's say, give or take, on any given month, year, or whatever, we have X thousands of buyers who are moving through that part in their life. They want to purchase. What happens to the desire of purchasers? Number one, the desire doesn't go away. All right. So tell me in the chat if you've got a different opinion here. The people who want to buy properties are still there. And so we are going to have a backlog, right? A backlog of buyers that will stay as renters. Okay. Now, what you've got to do is think about this. Rents are going to go up. That is for sure. And rents will go up and stay up, right? As rents go up. So the backlog of buyers hang around. They stay as renters, right? The rents will go up. The rents are going to go up. The rents will go up. And at some point in the future, tell me, what is going to unlock an absolute tsunami of people out there in the marketplace? When the rents go up over and above the mortgage, right? The cost of a mortgage. What happens, folks? We've seen it every single time this occurs in one way, shape, or form. The uneducated buyer stops, and us as property investors, this is a great time to be nicking the right bargain right now. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. The rents are going to go up. That is for sure. Mortgage price will stay the same for the short term. Let's say the next 3 to 6 months minimum. What's going to happen? What happens after that? Everyone just stops at gridlock. No one moves. No one sells. Rents go up, and the pressure builds. The pressure builds. We get a backlog of buyers in the marketplace right now. Okay, and that's an interesting thing. What will happen in the future? Then there's going to be something that unlocks the buyers, and when the interest rates go down, and they will, folks, they will. And let's call that in the next 12 to 24 months, okay? 12 to 24 months, prices will go up. You're dead right, Tim. Then we will get a huge amount of buyers re-enter the market. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And there's a conversation, a thing called mean reversion, right? If you have a look at this little graph here, little graph, right? These two lines, okay, which are your average loan payment and the average rent payment, they will start outbidding each other too. I talked about this yesterday, not very clearly, but the median price, folks, of house prices is going up. Right now, the median price is going up. The median is going up, and people are saying, well, why? Why is the median going up if the interest rates are going up? Well, it's pretty clear. It's pretty simple, right? If we have a spectrum of this is the middle, and let's say the middle is 600,000, and say this is, let's say, 300,000 to 600,000, and then this is, 600 to, call it, oh, bloody hell, call it like, let's call it $2 million, right? $2 million. Where is the most movement of pricing right now? Which type of buyer, which price point of buyer, folks, is doesn't give a shit about the interest rates right now? Tell me in the chat, folks. Tell me in the chat. Where's the transactions? Where are the purchases? Where are the properties being bought? What price point are the properties being purchased at? At the price point. At the high price. That's right. Up here, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 million, folks. No one gives a rat's ass about the interest rate. They're buying it mostly in cash, maybe a low loan to value ratio anyway. And they are moving the median further. All right. That's when you see those things out in the media going, hey, the median house price. Yep. That's right, Chris. The median house price has moved. What's going on? Well, that's what's happening. People with money don't really give a shit about cutting Netflix. And to be honest, Australia's never been richer and wealthier. Our average wealth in this country increased significantly over the last 5 years, insanely. But for some of us, yeah, and they're dead right, Tim. They're actually getting cracking bargains. Sam has done this presentation. It was an excellent one. We did it the other day. He said a $1 million buyer right now, if you're a $1 million buyer, you can buy some of the best real estate in Australia that hands down will double in value in the next 7 to 10 years because it's just wonderfully positioned, right? He's got a presentation on this. But what am I talking about here is mean reversion. Now, look at this. Right. We had this. It was pretty well the same, and then it split. So what happened, folks? What happened? The interest rate went down, and the rent payment stayed the same. Okay? Stayed the same, and then started to go up slightly. Okay? So there's a gap in here. There's a gap. All right? Now, the gap has changed, folks. The gap's changed because the interest rates have gone up and the rents are trying to catch up. This gap will close. That will close, folks. Mark my words. The gap between the loan repayment and the rent will close. And it will close using the rent. The rent will close that gap. All right, and here's the drill. Like, you got to get this. Over the next year or two, because rents take quite a while to flow through, when you put your rents up, and you should, will you, when the interest rates go down, will you drop your rents? You go, interest rates have gone down, I'm going to drop my rents. Tell me in the chat, folks, are you going to do that? Tell me. I want to hear it, because this is the thing you got to get, all right? This is the part right now where, for all of us, no, hell no. Exactly, Alison, hell no. I'm not doing that. And why? Why? Because, I love it, Luke. All right, because this is why I'm telling you. Like, watch this, right? Because at the moment, for some of us, I've just chucked into the calculator. Into the calculator, right? I've just chucked in the calculator. Hey, pretty straightforward stuff. $700,000 property. I'm using equity to buy it, blah, blah, blah. Renting for $700 a week, regular stuff. I've even only put in 4% capital growth over here. You might get 5, right? So let's go and have a look at our cash flow report. And I've put a 5.8% interest only rate in there. You guys know we say do 3 years or 5 years interest only in the beginning of the purchase. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at our cash flow. The cash flow is after tax. You guys know PAYG variation. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So after tax, it's let's round it up. $5,000 negative cash flow for the year. So let's say you buy a property right now, it's negative $5,000 cash flow for the year. And people go, oh, that's no good. And I'm like, oh, hang on. Don't get carried away. When you're purchasing the property, put $5,000 aside, make sure you got a buffer, et cetera, et cetera. So here's what's going to happen, right? We got negative $5,000 out of the way. So let's go and have a look at what's going to happen over here on our, try and find my mouse. There we go. Let's go and do this. Let's go put our rent up. Let's go put our rent up to $800 a week. The rent up to $800. Let's say over 2 years we can get the rent up. And then we get the interest rate down. So let's call it 4.8. So the rents are going to go up 100. The interest rates are going to go down 1%. Over the next 2 years, that's my call. That's my call on the trajectory of the situation right now. And your rents are going to stay up, folks, okay? And you got to keep an eye on them. You're going to have good properties, et cetera, et cetera. So what happens now? All right. What's this number here? Tell me. So we were negative 4, and now we're positive 4, okay? So what happens? The 4 that you put in the year before, you've put $4,000 in. Now you get it back. And now over a 2 or 3 year period, your property is neutral and has paid you back. Paid you back, folks, the cash flow. But in the meantime, ladies and gents, you now have, 30, 40, 50 grand worth of capital growth happening as we go, right? So that's what's going to happen for all of us as investors. We might have to put a bit in the next little bit. The interest rates have gone up. Now, listen, 0.25 is not going to change things much. It's not going to change things much at all, if at all, today in the cash flow. If you've got a brand new loan, matter of fact, here's what's happening out there in the marketplace. Let's go and have a look at what the actual banks are doing, right? What they're actually doing, folks, is, and I showed this one the other day. Check this out. Right? The interest rates on the fixed home loans, check out that. Fixed interest rates are lower. So they dropped their fixed interest rates, their 3 year fixed, to 5.54. They dropped their fixed interest rate and they put their variable rate up. Why would they drop their fixed interest rate? Their most popular fixed interest rate, by the way, folks, 5.3. Tell me in the chat, they go, oh, there'll be more rate rises, fear-mongering, right? So what did they do? Tell me, ladies and gents. Tell me. Right. They put their variable rate up, and they put their fixed rates down. What is that? Yep, exactly right, Josh. Book building for sure, Luke. And they know what the future holds, folks. All right. They know interest rates will come down. And I think I personally think that sort of stuff is, anyway, it's annoying. It's a pain in the ass. Yep. Because they will lock in people who are scared of an uncertain future. And when interest rates drop to 4%, that person's going to be locked in at 5.5, right? That's what happens. So for me, for my money, I'm certainly not locking in 5.5% interest rate. Anyway, that's where I'm at as we go. All right, folks, there you go. Brendan said, did we switch from interest only to P&I? After 3 to 5 years, Brendan, we can switch to P&I if we want to. It depends on the cash flow of your property. It depends on the cash flow of your circumstance, your portfolio, right? Because when we make a principal payment, our equity goes up, right? So, and often I hear from investors like, oh, it's negative cash flow. And I'm like, are you on principal and interest? And the answer is yes. Well, negative cash flow means positive equity. What do you mean? Well, you're making a principal payment and that's reducing your debt means building equity, correct? Okay, yeah, okay, I get it. Okay, so it's a cash flow issue. So Brendan, what we always do is make sure you're in charge of the cash flow. If you want to make that extra payment and reduce the debt, fine. I prefer, especially in the early days with our portfolio, building our portfolio, to have that extra payment or that extra cash flow in an offset account or a redraw facility so you can have access to it instead of paying off the bank's mortgage. And then you've got to ask to get it back. All right. That's kind of the drill. All right, folks. If you want to get hold of that calculator, it's in the Facebook group, or your coach can send it to you. So make sure you download it and muck around with it and do what you need to do. There you go. All right, folks. That's it. Interest rates have gone up a little bit, even if they go up a bit more, which I'm finding it hard to see that now. I mean, there's some cracks showing. The pollies are into it. Everyone's given it a good carry on. So let's hope for everybody's sake that pauses and steadies the ship a little. But don't miss this, team. We're just we're looking at a few opportunities right now that we haven't been able to look at for a while. Places like Sydney, by the way. That the rents are through the roof. The rental yield's so high, again, which is good, which allows us to be able to purchase in certain places. All right? So, for my money, if you're able, it's a good time to be purchasing a couple of properties if it makes sense for you. Anyway, there you go. All right, folks, that's it. I'm done. Yep. See you later. That's it. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted today. Join me tomorrow if you want to do something again around about 8:10. That's usually the drill. Until then, folks, you guys take care. Remember, we've got a couple sayings around here. Buy well, don't sell. That's the drill, right? It's going to take time to build this portfolio, no matter what's going on. Whether it's up, down, round, around, we're going to be here. This thing takes a bit of time. All right, folks, that's it. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.